Okay, and we're just going to upload an audio of an interview with Colleen Black, a fabulous sculptor and artist from Washington. And this is Christine Joanna Hart's platform on Revolution Radio, and this is an audio backup.
Angie, introducing the show. Got echo your side. Can you maybe do something about the echoing? No? That's better.
Alright, good.
So, we've got Angela Paradisney, who's a fellow hack who worked for the Irish Times out in Ireland, who is going to take over the show for me tonight, although she thought she was co-hosting, because I had this experience of being locked in the park. I'm going to have to go and sort out my little boy because I didn't manage to get the tea. So I don't know, is that okay with you, Angela, over there in Spain, or where are you tonight?
No, well, actually, I'm at a friend's place. I'm living in Ireland and I'm planning a move to Spain, so I'm in transition mode. But the show must go on, so yes, talk about put me on the spot. I hope you'll be able to join us a bit later before it's over, will you?
Yes, I will be. I'm just going to get him dinner and then I'll come back. So I'll come back on the hour.
And are we expecting Olivia?
No, we've got Colleen Black with us from America. Are you there, Colleen?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yes. Lovely.
Okay.
So Angela is gonna interview you about your fascinating experiences. Are you okay with that? She's a fellow journalist. Yeah, you're fine. Okay.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Excellent. So, Angie, you're connected up with her. I'm going to join you guys back at the end of the hour. I'm just downstairs cooking, so I'm going to leave it on. So, can you get cracked on with your super skills as a super journalist, Angela? Okay. I'll leave you guys and I'll mute and I'll be back on the hour.
Alright, talk to you soon. Hi, Colleen.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
I only got to check out a little bit about who you are yesterday, who you are via your Facebook and your a couple of videos I watched, and I was quite inspired actually. I spent the afternoon revamping a poem I wrote a couple of years ago, so yeah, very inspired. So I'll share that in a little while, but yeah, I just want to, before we get into things, I just wanted to empathise with Chris, because she's a single parent. Yeah, and I think her child is only about 10.
Oh my God.
And it's half term, it's like mid-term break here, and I just having raised 3 children for the most part on my own, I know how hard it is to switch hats. Like, now I'm a mommy, now I'm working, you know, now I have to earn a living, now I have to nurture, now I have, you know, all of that good stuff. And I was like empathizing and sympathizing with Chris, and then just 10 minutes ago, my daughter, I've got 3 children, one's almost 30, one's 21, and one's just gone to college at 18. That's why I'm going back to work. But my daughter phoned me 10 minutes ago, clearly distressed about something and wanting to talk. And I had to say it's not a good time.
Oh, I know. My daughter is upstairs sick right now. She's got a little bit of a fever, and she's got a sore throat. And I had to leave her with the neighbor upstairs, which he is fantastic. But yeah, the single mom thing is tough. I so empathize with all of us.
Well, I kind of admire her.
Yeah.
Just kind of admire her for just throwing the ball over my side. Even though this was going to be a co-host thing, but I'm delighted because I'm very interested and curious and fascinated about just getting to know your story.
I've got so much to say. I had an epiphany this morning. I had like a really crazy morning. Hey, Angie, I can hear a little bit of something in the background. Is that just my...
It might be my cell phone. I'll turn it off, I think, because maybe we're getting interference.
Yeah, that's...
So I'll turn it off. It's sounding pretty good from here. It just sounds like the ocean in the background or something.
I hear a voice.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that is. Maybe that's because Chris was going to leave her sound on. So I don't know if you can hear us, Chris, but the producers at Revolution Radio will fix it. The technical. Neither Chris nor myself are very technical.
Well, me either. Yeah,
You've gone back to school to do physics. That's amazing.
Yes. Do you want me to kind of go over like just a brief history of who I am and where I came from and
Yeah, because I want to break it down a little bit. Can I be rude and ask you even how old you are? Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. I'm what year is it? It's 2006. 46. Yeah. I have to look at the. I'm no good with time.
And how many children? I'm just getting a bit. I've got a sense of who you are, which has been enchanting. But just to get some basic stuff for the listeners. So you're 46, and how many children have you got?
I have 2 girls. I have a 14-year-old and I have a 7-year-old. My 14-year-old was out with her father during the school year, and then my 7-year-old is here with me. Like I said, she's sick today.
Oh, bless. Okay, well, we just so sweet. And whereabouts do you live? I don't even. Is it Texas?
Tacoma. I live in Tacoma, Washington. So it's right along the Craton, right along the edge of the, all that stuff that's going on.
And you seem to be an amazing artist and sculptor. And have you worked and single parented? Have you juggled both those balls all the time?
Yes. Yeah. I never. It's been an amazing story. Just all the way through life, I've never taken no for an answer. I've always, like if I see a possibility, I just jump on it and ride the wave. And I've never had any money to do this at all. I mean, I've traveled the world, done ice carving all over the globe, and sculpted for the United States of America. I've done. We never practiced our pieces, so we never won first place. But it's just such a crazy story. Yeah, we used to get drunk all the way till the last minute, and then wake up and carve for 24 hours with chainsaws in ice. I did that. That's not smart, but I did it.
That's one of the reasons I left journalism, because it was so adrenaline driven.
Yes.
It was so oriented to deadlines and pressure, and so I did it I was not nearly as accomplished as Chris. I published for the Irish Times and women's magazines, and I got Young Journalist of the Year thing with Cosmopolitan magazine, things like that years ago. Yeah. But I don't like that pressure-driven, adrenaline-driven. I mean, this is fine. I'm going to enjoy this. But when there's deadlines and it's every day, you're running on your nerves, you're running on adrenaline. I found it very, very taxing.
Well, you're a creative. That's why. Like if you have a creative spirit and you're told to do something that really doesn't sit well with your spirit.
Yeah, I've always been a rebel. It's like I'll write when I feel like it. And I really related to that thing you said. I'm not taking commissions right now. I have too much to do. And it's like, I'm not listening to my circumstances or the fact that, I was saying in the last chat with Christine that I have never monetized my work or gone down the advertising route to make money, because I always feel like it's vulgar and it's selling out. But you can end up very easily a very broke artist in a garret.
Well, you know what's really crazy? I have to explain this because this is just profound to me as far as what I've discovered. I started studying this physics class, okay? And I've always been interested in physics. I've always had fascination with science, and it sort of has gone right alongside my work. And this will all relate back to this epiphany that I had this morning, which is just amazing. I don't even know how to even get into that, but I have to just kind of start at the beginning. So all my life I've been this rebel, you know, just I haven't really, even as a kid, I remember growing up and thinking, these people are just running around chasing their butts, you know, like, why are they doing that? They could live in this world that I live in, and I lived in this little bubble inside my head, I want to call it, but it was beautiful. I used to pretend I was a princess riding across lands and delivering messages to people and all this just really fun stuff in my mind. I don't even know, sometimes, especially with what I know now, it almost gets convoluted.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was just a lot of fairy tales kind of that I would melt into, and I would melt into other people's lives when they would tell me their stories. So I would empathize on a level that was so deep that I would see it. I would see their life, and I would feel both sides of whatever story they were telling me. So I would go even deeper and feel the person, you know, like they would be talking some crap about someone, and I'd see the other side and say, but what about, did you think about this? You know, and oh, I didn't think about that. And it just seemed to be like a natural habit that I had of just kind of straightening people out a little bit.
Interesting.
So, well, recently I've come across a film, and it's called Sensitive. And I have to say hello to the producers because I know that they're listening. But hello, Phil and Diana. They're so great. They're the most beautiful people. They've got the most horrendous hearts. And there's a woman that wrote the book, Elaine Aaron, and she discovered high sensitivity in people. Not only in people, but in rhesus monkeys. Like, this stretches to everywhere. And now that I'm finding a little bit more out about physics, I mean everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere. It's exponential. This discovery that's going on right now is our ticket. I mean, it's just a realization of exactly who we are from a science perspective.
Yeah, I just watched, actually, a couple of days ago. I know I don't like to harp on about it, but I watched a documentary that somebody called Richard D. Hall has made about this scientist, engineering scientist Judy did about 9/11, and she seemed to have proven very convincingly that directed energy made the towers what she calls dustify.
I saw that too.
Yeah, and she said, this changes everything. This is a game changer.
I saw that too. In fact, it was some sort of an ionic, I can see what it did, but it almost made it otherworldly. Like people lived in the same circumstances, the Philadelphia experiment, where they were sticking their hands through the walls at the last minute. It would have changed.
I'm not a scientist, but I could hear what was being said in as much as directed energy causing something to literally, not vaporize, but she calls it dustification. It was something that outside the box. It was outside the box, and and the passion and the message was, if people can grasp this and stop the blame game and the, you know, is it a conspiracy, is it not a conspiracy? If people can actually just grasp what happened, the facts of what happened, it's a game changer. And it reminded me, when I watched your thing with your copper pens, we're jumping ahead. I so meant to be methodical with this interview. But tell me about your epiphany this morning, and then we'll get a bit more methodical.
Oh, Lord. The epiphany is, all my life I've been painting and doing all these things, all these beautiful representations of, I looked up philosophies, I looked up everything, I studied all these different places, I studied different religions, and I would go and I would just, you know, not a whole lot, just enough to just grasp what I needed to grasp. Sorry, I have a cough drop, I'll take that out.
Your work is amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm rediscovering it. That's what I found out this morning. Holy crap. I mean, I came across, I wrote this book. It's called Behind the Black, and I did not mean to come on here and promote a book. I swear to God I didn't, because I just went on the national whatever it was and said that I don't want no more money, and here I am on here promoting a book. But if I get any money for the book, it'll go right back into the art stuff that I wouldn't do anyway.
It's okay. It's only the love of money that's the root of evil. It's not money itself.
It's true, but money puts a price on our heads, and I don't agree with that. You know what I mean?
I do, like I said, I have that same thing where I won't sell my soul and I won't sell out to advertising and everything.
No.
But at the same time, you know, poverty is not very conducive to being creative. It's not, you know.
I beg to differ, though. I beg to differ. I have been in the most poor situations and thought, well, at least if I get thrown into a ditch, I'll have mud. I can sculpt the mud, you know. So that's how I've had to live all my life, and it's been so free. I mean, when I had to be tied up with agents and they were trying to push me because they wanted to make money for me, I don't know, I wanted to make money, and so I probably accidentally sabotaged them because I never really had that intention, you know what I mean? Like, I never really wanted it, but that one I've kind of figured out too, which is kind of strange, but
it's not an end in itself, but I think it's okay if it's a byproduct, if you're being true to yourself.
Oh yeah, I think, because I take it and put it right back out there. I don't want any of it. The guys aren't even good looking on there.
So tell me the epiphany.
Oh, so the epiphany. Oh my gosh. I started to go through all my artwork, and this has happened probably over the past, I would say, just past few years, where I've looked at things and I've looked at world circumstances, because I've watched Miles Johnson and Carrie Cassidy and all, you know, like I've just been keeping up to date on what's going on in the world as much as I can, because I get these visions and they all fit together, and this morning it all fits together in my freaking book, because all the art, I go in there and I explain all the art, and all the art has something to do with what's going on now. Like I explained the fall, and in the fall, it was one of my very first sculptures, and in the fall, that's the separation of the female spirit from the male spirit. We're polar opposites, so we're working in opposition right now. But what we need to do is turn and face each other so that we are together, or not, well, not, I guess it would be the other way around. I'm trying to think in plasma too. But anyway, whatever way it is, we need to be equal.
Have you done a rewrite, or did your book just come alive for you?
It came alive while I was writing it, but I had no idea how alive it is. Like every sculpture, every story in there has a piece of this mystery in it, and it's just, it's freaking me out a little bit, really, because I can go all the way back. Like there's a story in there called The Little Girl, and I don't know if you read that on Facebook about Megan.
I listened to it. Yeah, I listened to it.
Yeah.
I listened to reading it, which was you know, the oral traditions are not so much used these days, and I think they're wonderful. So I listened to it.
Yeah, just my thing about artwork alone. You know why they want to push it away, or push it far away from our school systems and far away from us, because creativity is the one link that connects us completely with source. Because that's it. You just get a direct smack. Like, lately I've been able to ask, it seems like almost every question that comes into my head just gets immediately answered before I say it. When I posted the one video online, oh my gosh, Angie, I looked up in the sky and I was crying because I didn't know if this was going to hurt anybody. I didn't know if this was going to, if I was going to get people after me. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I looked up in the sky and I just asked the angels, because I can see little pinpricks when I'm doing things right. I said and I just call them angels just for lack of a better term. But the whole sky lit up like it just went off everywhere. These little pinpricks of light, like they were about to pop a cork on a champagne bottle, and they were just saying, just press post, Colleen, just press post. And I was crying, and I looked up, and then this big saucer came out, okay? Perfect saucer came came out. This saucer-shaped light went boom right in my face, and I just laughed out loud, and I went, post.
Wow. Well, I'm going to be spontaneous like that as well. Can I read you? It's interesting. Like I said, I meant to do a rewrite or a finish of this poem since I wrote it a couple of years ago, but I just turned everything off this afternoon and finished it. Even telling my poor daughter I was busy. But can I share it with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's see if we can find it here. Where is it? Here it is. It's called an ode, O-D-E, a dirge, a clarion call. And when I first wrote it, Ireland was coming awake. We were realising as a nation that we'd been sold out. We'd been sold down the river. The bankers had, bailed us out, and, the country just suddenly woke up. Our water was sold and privatised, and suddenly it was as if the veil was open and we could see all the corruption in the background. And people were going on the streets, not your normal protesters, but grannies and mothers with pushchairs and so on. So I just got very passionate, and having, looked into a lot of the dark side and, the truth of what's really been going on. So I'll just read this. It's called an ode, a dirge, a clarion call. I yearn to be proud to be Republican and half Irish, no matter how and if I vote. I want to forgive my abusing forebears and create an Ireland closer to the romance that had emigrants wax lyrical and yet stay far away and crooning. I want Sinn Féin to gain integrity, at least the kind I believed in folklore. At the feet of Kate and Ger, my matchmaker Maha forebears in the Glen of Ahalo. Integrity and honour vehemently countered by the still pretending Orange, nursing similar illusions dispensed as true as mother's milk, in struggle brainwashed to a different kind of drumbeat, no better, no worse, just other. I want us not to get sucked into establishment behaviour, not turn blind eyes like knowing bishops to shadowy harassment from sections of humanity deemed worthy of authority and more. Though we permitted acts like that in days gone by in name of war, it was intimidate or ambush, know the enemy, endure. Can we now declare we did and trust and pray? Ye evil holy ones seduced by Lucifer, celibacy not of God but from expediency, those big families we sanctioned were too burdensome for Rome, as a building gets another gold adornment. Never rape or kill another child or grown, nor denigrate a traveller, call a Magdalene unclean. It is your hands stained with blood that cannot fade, unbearable as Judas in the death throes of his pain, or Pilate or the Lady of Macbeth, tormented, disgraced for brute brutality, or the bribes you took in secret. Shed blood devoid of sacrifice, not innocent, it was stolen, pours down drains as stains unceasing of despair. Demonic horror never intended yet embraced for all eternity. Ninth Circle Tomb, Bohemian et al. By some disguised as rulers who heard piping of a demon and fell headlong into power, pleasure, prestige, lust immortal, screaming, Lucifer, this suits me, as they realized too late, no, maybe not. Run fast, run far, cried witching banshee, she of darkness, yet now not death, but life the call, the cry. King that loves the fallen mystery, sees hidden ancient royalty, forgives a weary minstrel, you and I. There is a truer love, his name Yeshua. Ancient sinner, saint and mystic, wounded child rejected slyly, come home ye souls, come all who heed the call of Tara. Hills and cairns of new forgiveness, dreams in love yet pain resisting, fatal wounds en route, all gathered in pursuit, chasing mists and mystic rainbows. Here is truth. Come a druid and a priest, come a shining one of secrets, come a guard, a judge, a warlock, politician. But this time no lovers dying, siblings sinning, babes just lost, no crossed destinies of lovers wrong or dying or destruct. Come, there's time to rebuild old Ireland, Tirnanog, our Camelot, if we but repent. Come find and meet last king, full-grown majestic, rule strong by washing of the feet, and weeping for the weak, and joy a daily meet with children's laughter. Hold reverent your queens, unacclaimed jewels of your hereafter, lest you might lose them. Stand strong in love till love comes a thunder on his horse. Come dance and pray, ye bride, come do your best, don't run, don't hide. Be brave, ye warriors of war, war now with peace, yet terror be reserved dispensed for evil. Call me, I just jumped a bit there, lost the flow, but it's okay, I forgive myself. Call me first for vengeance, it is meet. And war best now with weapons helped by angels, true, not fallen, by the thunder of the heavens and of God, who will protect, provide and guide when counsel sought, love not branded, never owned, creator, Son of Man. He comes back and you must too, or be lost as those we knew, never ventured back or lost in pure transition. The cry, come home, come now my bride, come home, the exile and the spy, come find the holiest of love, 'twas pain obscuring, soul though sold or almost sold, yet least enduring. Come home laughing through the weeping, you are free, you trade forgiveness and receive and find your oneness. Crowned yet barefoot, known indeed, you were wandering at sea. You hear, you know the call more ancient of our Maker. Come bride, ye queens, ye warring kings, incline an ear to ancient trees. This time the whistling cries peace, yet not surrender. Just going down again a bit here. We were won not by defeat, lack of valor or retreat. We were won by love and chose to reign. By hidden streams, come love and live, come know new justice now, and give new hearts, new starts, new freedoms, fiercely born of love. No shame, come love, come dream again, yet any shore is Ireland then, and now he knows his own, ye ancient and all kin. He knows the dark-skinned lovers too, he knows a mixed-skin beauty new. He bids come home, ye hidden, long beloved of old. Come soon, come all, the bell is sounding. Our old wars are less astounding. Still they rise in hate abounding, love grew cold. Yet now by wisdom strong, not weak, opposing fear, not turning cheek, perfect love outstripped the fear that ran so deep. Am I dreaming? Can you too? Can we hear the call anew? Can we stand and when defeat keep on standing? Can we fallible and few make our Ireland once more new? Make great Uncle Ger and ancients proud again? Based on God and right and wrong, not satanic clanging gong, nor the calling of the darkness dripping money. Let us pray and do our part. It's better than a broken heart or a numbness helter-skelter till we die, yet live again, not reincarnate, but in glory for eternity. We reject this tainted cup of the moneylender's sup, secret sale of souls and thus enslaving Ireland or our land for 30 trillion silver, still betrayal. The news you dread to hear is that you lose. For eternity, come sing a song. That's it.
Wow.
Wow. That's
That
it.
was absolutely beautiful.
That was...
Yeah, tears.
Well, thank you. You kind of spurred me on to do it. That's why I'm so strange that you got re-energized about something you wrote in the past as well. That's quite bizarre. There's lovely synchronicity going on, isn't there?
Oh yeah. I really believe that poetry and artwork have so much hidden knowledge in them. I mean, think about just this circumstance, because everyone goes through this, where you pick up a book and you turn to a page and all of a sudden there's this profound message right in front of you that explains everything that you're going through in perfect order.
That's right. So the epiphany for you this morning was that you already had put it down on paper and in art, and it came alive again and it made sense. The dots joined. Am I doing that?
Yeah, it's incredible. I have to reread the book. I wrote it, but I like each one, I've been picking out each piece of art, and I can go back into that particular story and just explain a certain circumstance, if that makes sense. It completely fits.
Yeah, I totally get it. And that's what my afternoon was, so that's very beautiful. That's very lovely. Can I just rewind before we go metaphysical? Before we get metaphysical or scientific, I'm teasing. Can you tell me a little bit about childhood and where you were born and what your background? Can you give me some kind of tell me a little bit about your,
sure. Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Ohio, and out there's rolling hills and no water. We're just surrounded by a lot of land. But my family owned a golf course, so we grew up on the side of this golf course, and I had I had a really nice childhood. I loved my childhood. It was fantastic. We had mini bikes and snowmobiles, and I had a pony, and it was great. Right about the age of 13 or 14, my parents got divorced, and we found out that all of our money that we had really was debt. So we lost everything. My parents lost everything kind of through the divorce and different circumstances. And we ended up living in a one-bedroom home, me and my mom and my four brothers.
You skipped a bit. I'm always fascinated about between the ages of 4 and 7. So don't jump quite so quick to 13. Tell me, did you have siblings, and was either of your parents in the military, or what was your father's job? Did your mum work? Do you have siblings?
Okay. Well, I had 3 brothers. They're all younger. My brothers are normal, is what I want to say. I was always kind of a weird kid. All the other kids would go outside and they would play, and my mom would come out to find everyone, and I'd be off somewhere else just playing by myself. And it wasn't a lonely or a weird thing. It was just I would find these little places inside my head, kind of thing. And I got along great with people when I was playing with them, but I was always happy in my own space, I guess.
Okay, and anything significant between the ages of 4 and 7?
Not really a lot. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, when I was real young, I used to have these dreams that I could fly, and they were, I think they were astral.
Yeah.
Now, but I didn't know that as a kid. I was just convinced for sure that I could fly in the daylight. So I told my mom.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, I told her straight out. I said, Mom, I just want to tell you this. I can fly. And she said, oh, Colleen, I want to let you know that you really can't. You need feathers. And she just kind of said, you're going to fall if you fly. At the end of this conversation, because I know I tried to talk her into it, and and I thought, well, she's right. And all of a sudden that night, I think I was dreaming or whatever it was. I went to wherever I always went to fly, and I went to take off the ground, and I could hear my mom's words, and I couldn't do it.
Wow. Yeah, fear. Fear. Yeah, I used to feel like I used to look out in the morning and feel like, well, I've been flying. I have. That's just it. I've been flying. But I didn't know anything anything about astral travel. I just was convinced I had been flying all night, or that much of the night. But anyway, so what was your father's kind of golf course? Was that his family?
He was an aluminum salesman guy, a tin man for a while, and then he got into car sales, and then was a stockbroker, and now he's retired.
Did he have any religious affiliations, or he knew?
Yeah, he was a Mormon, and my mom was a Baptist, so that was really interesting. We'd go to one church praising Joseph Smith one week, and then Baptist the next, and to me it was all good.
My father was Irish Catholic. Well, he thought he was Irish. It turned out the powers were not, but they thought they were Irish. And my mother was English Protestant, so that thing of mixed faith, it was quite taboo. And was it not against their respective religions to marry outside of the faith? Were they rejected for doing that?
Well, they divorced because of that.
They divorced.
Yeah, there was a lot of different things that happened with my parents, and they were all, we fell away from each other because, well, there's a million different reasons for that, isn't there? I don't want to really go there, but
are they? No, I don't want to take you anywhere you don't want to go. Are they still alive, parents?
But you can take me anywhere, Angie. I'm.
No, but it's no pleasure. That's the other reason I didn't like tabloid journalism, because I derived no pleasure from nailing anybody.
No, absolutely, and I wouldn't slash
it. No, I don't have that sort of cutthroat, let me kill you no matter what kind of thing. So I want you to feel safe and loved and nurtured out of this, as much as myself and Christine in her absence. So no, that's fine. But are your parents still living?
Yes, they're both still living. And they're both remarried.
Okay.
Real happily, I might add. Really.
So all right. So you very early on you felt like you could fly, and then your mum kind of flattened that for you, as most people would.
Oh yeah. Any solid mom would say, no, I don't want you jumping off the roof.
Yeah, and then that creative loner thing, imaginary world child thing was already strong in you from very young. Did you have to mind your brothers? Did you have to do a lot of babysitting for your brothers, being the oldest?
Somewhat. I mean, I'm not I'm just not a leader, so to speak. I just let people do. It's more of I believe in that freedom. Like I like to treat my kids with respect and talk to them and tell them why I'm telling them not to do something and explain the circumstances so that they understand the whole thing. And then they usually say, oh yeah, okay. It's common sense. So
I lived in America for 5 years, and I raised my daughter like that. And when I used to bring her home to Ireland on holidays, they were just so horrified. They were like, they were just like, why don't you tell her no? Why are you just talking to her all the time? It was such a culture shock, and there was a joke that if you gave an Irish parent a book about child psychology, they would use it to beat the child with. I shouldn't even laugh, that's not even funny.
Oh, I know, it happens, and it just, believe me, I've been beat up about it. I've been completely beat up about it. People used to come to me all the time, and it's not like they would come up and say you're a mom, but my family would say things, just sort of sideways, like, you need to do this and you need to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was hard.
I think there's a balance. I have got 3 children, and I kind of, I would have to say with hindsight, possibly I was a little bit too much that way with my daughter.
Yeah.
And one good example is I was a governess once for some of the Saudi royal family, and the son in particular, age 12, was not supposed to take orders from any governesses or nannies or staff. And I didn't know that, so I just, was sort of Irish with him and told him what to do. Not, I wasn't aggressive, but it was like, do as you're told. And then he didn't, and I said, stop, and he stepped out in front of a motorbike and he got knocked down. And it was such a lesson for him. It's like, oh, okay, you meant that to protect me. Okay. And it changed everything. it changed the whole framework of why do grown-ups get to tell us occasionally not to do something. You know, so I got a bit more balance. With my daughter, it was all a bit very Californian. I was living in Sausalito. And then when I got to my sons, I was like, okay, so maybe we'll have some boundaries and discipline. You know, we'll try and moderate a little bit, you know.
Oh, yeah. I hear that. I know my number 2 daughter is a little bit more, I'm a little bit more strict, I think, with her.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Kind of learn as we go along. The poor first one gets practiced on.
I know. God bless her soul.
So then at 13 with the divorce, did you go live with your mom?
I did. We actually moved from Ohio out here to Washington at that point. And
Okay.
We moved into that small house. My dad stayed out here and kept the house. He had a girlfriend at the time that none of us liked at all, but she she had it, you know, like, she had her own issues, and everybody does, and it's just one of those things where we had to understand at the moment and just kind of let my dad do what he was doing. But I could see both sides of that story too, and she was just a really hurt individual as well. You know, like, if you really go back and you trace everyone's history and look at the higher side of what's really going on, you can understand that there's just no blame.
You can, and I've wrestled with that, because everybody who is unkind or worse has a story, you know, and statistics will back that up. But I had to make the distinction of sometimes, you know, I don't care how much of a story you have, it's not okay to behave like ABC. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I had to learn, because I was over empathic. I had to learn not to keep saying, oh, well, it's okay because, you know, that was done to him or her, or they had that, or it's generational. At some point, I had to learn quite late on to say, hey, do you know what? That's not okay.
Yeah.
You're not okay. You know?
Yeah, that's what I feel so free right now from what I did the other day for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I saw that. You tell me that. So before we switch back to the present, because it's very exciting, but I just want to get real as well. The same way you were saying about reading people, you can hear the joy, but you can also sometimes pick up on some pain. And I'm not wanting to focus on it, but do you know, that reading people is something you and myself and Christine have in common. So I just want to pick up, so at 13, so first of all the money's gone, and Dad's got a girlfriend, and it's not so great with her, and then you're all living in a tiny little place in Washington, and then what was school like?
School, that was my very first affiliation with what drugs were. So I was scared to death. I wanted to go to any other school that I could. I just wanted to go home. I wanted to go to a Christian school. I thought that would be safe. So I was trying to raise money to go to my own Christian school. I was just frustrated. It was like a heavier situation. We had a small town in Ohio, so when I moved out here, there was crime. There was just a little bit more of a shock to my system. I wasn't used to it. So, but I got used to it real quick.
And you got into drugs. What age did you get into drugs?
Yeah. When I was 14 years old, my cousin, he was sort of like my best friend. We grew up together, and we grew apart a little bit when we were older, just because he was a boy and I was a girl, and it was, you know, whatever. But he shot himself.
Oh.
When he was, and it was a huge shock for our family. It was just a huge, huge shock. I was visiting my dad from here, and I'd seen, his name's Danny, and I'd seen him, and he just kind of had a really lonely look about him. I could feel something was wrong. But I was headed out the door, and I was going to go to meet my friend. We were going to go to a horse show or something that day. So I headed out. I went to the horse show, won a ribbon, was really excited to get home and tell Danny, because he had shouted it out to me as I was leaving the backyard. He had yards were right next to each other, and so he had shouted out to me, "See you later, Keener," because he used to call me Keener Wiener. But anyway, I got home, took a shower, looked out my window, and there was an ambulance in his driveway. So immediately I thought, oh my gosh, they're so old, they were in their 40s. They're so old, they probably had a heart attack. And I called to my dad, and my dad went down to Danny's house. They didn't come back for a little while. And we found out that, basically Danny stayed alive for, I think, about a week.
Oh, God.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's tough. And did he leave a note? Did anybody ever understand what happened?
He did. My family, we've talked about this a lot over the years, not probably as much as we have just over the past year, because when I wrote the book, I wrote about the story.
Right.
Because it made such a huge impact in my life. When it happened, I sort of went inside myself and found this really strong girl, and I went back to school, and I just went nuts about just getting kids to talk and not having to, worry about committing suicide, and I was just on this rampage against suicide.
Okay.
So, and it was such a strange experience, because the whole time that Danny was in the hospital, I couldn't cry. And normally I cry at the drop of the hat.
Right.
But the night that he died, I was over at a friend's house, and there was I was sleeping in the basement, and there was this tiny little window, and it was a clear night, and I remember just sitting straight up in bed, and I looked out the window, and I just saw this flash of light, and then I knew, I knew that he left, because I was begging him to stay. I kept trying to tell him that I would come back, and just anything to get him to stay. He had trouble with his dad. He had trouble understanding his dad. That was a police officer, and just put a lot of pressure on him. And it was something. It's something that our family has been working through all of our lives. It's just, you have these horrible tragedies that happen in your family, and in ways you come together, and in ways we split apart. There's ways that my family needs a lot. We don't talk enough.
Right.
We don't talk. I have done these things, and the first time that I came to my family and told them that I was going to take my art off the market, that I wanted to use it as a gift and a gift alone, and that was it. So no one's ever going to buy my art again, period. I don't want a price on it.
Right.
So, and the only way they're going to be able to buy it is from people who have it. So I'm just going to make those people rich.
Right.
Which is going to be fun, because I've always wanted to do that. So,
yeah, no, me too. It really touched me, but that video you shared.
Oh,
but
give you a
I just want to close that circle, so I'm really, really sorry that happened. I want to ask you, what age was your cousin?
We were exactly the same age. He was 1 month older than I was.
Oh, so he was 14.
My cousin is actually writing a book about it.
Wow. Wow.
Sorry.
She's his sister.
Yeah, she's his sister, and she's writing a book about.
That's so brave. And a 14. Any suicide is terrible, tragic, horrible, but a 14-year-old is just devastating. It's just a heartbreaking waste of a life, So I'm sorry that happened, and I think it's great that you included it in a book, and that one of his sisters is writing a book. I think that's the best thing we can do, is to keep bringing it out and feeling the feelings, and that you can't. When people say let it go, leave the past behind you, you can't change it. if we don't process it, we repeat it. In some way or another, it gets repeated, you know. And I think suicide is one of those things, as long as it stays a taboo, it keeps happening. It keeps happening more and more, you know. So I'm sorry that happened. So then you went on a kind of a role trying to counsel everybody and make sure nobody else did that. But then you also got into drugs to kind of escape the pain. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Drinking mainly. A lot of drinking. I went to high school parties. I did like all the, and you know, I don't even. I know when it was. It was a boy. That's what happened. And this boy was a quarterback, and I was a nerd. And so, somebody came and told me that he wanted to take me to the prom, and I was just a freshman, and I thought they were joking, you know, like it was like that, Breakfast Club. I was like the artist in the back who scratches her head with all the dandruff that comes down. That's what I felt like I was, you know, so I just thought, you gotta be kidding me, he's not interested in me. But anyway, that first kiss, like just, that drive, it just takes me out the window. I have got a really high drive, if you know what I mean, and so I have to stay away.
Okay, so it was just like mind-blowing, the drink thing.
Yeah, everything just kind of set me off, you know, because when you're really highly emotional, I think those things are they work extra good on you. I don't know how that exactly interacts.
Yeah, I've been trying to process that with somebody else that I've been doing some work with, and she said she was so craving attention and so programmed to respond to what felt or seemed like attention or approval or validation or love, that she just was helpless in the face of it. It's just like, if somebody showed her what seemed like love, she felt like she was on automatic pilot and just was programmed to respond. It was out of her hands. She had almost, you know, no choice. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, it is. I heard another really interesting little bit of information that I thought was really kind of cool, and I can't remember where I heard this. It was a radio show just a few days ago, but someone was saying that when we have intimate contact, men's like love potion lasts for about 30 seconds. 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. So they'll cuddle and stuff for about 30 minutes. Ours lasts for 2 weeks.
And you know what else I heard? That everybody we're intimate with, we take on a little bit of their DNA. Did you know that?
Oh dear Lord.
Yeah. Oh my! When I read that, I thought, oh, what? Sorry.
Oh man.
It was mind-blowing to me that every person we get intimate with, we actually take on a little bit of their DNA.
Well, that's certainly puts a new perspective on things now, doesn't it?
We've got, we're nearly at the top of the hour, and what there is there's like a commercial break at the top of the hour, and then maybe Christine's going to rejoin us at that point.
Okay.
So we've got about 5 minutes, and so I don't want to get stuck in the middle of something. So let's just kind of wind up on the looking back thing. So high school, you kind of thought you were the nerdy one that nobody would be interested in, and then you were processing this deprivation of your cousin, you were processing divorce, you were processing culture shock, you know, from Ohio to Washington. And when did you discover your gift for art?
Oh, that was there all along. I don't think I ever had any detachment from it. It was always...
As a child, were you encouraged to do art at home, or when did you start creating?
Yeah, I was encouraged. I was definitely encouraged. My dad would get a little worried at times in my life when I wasn't making enough money.
But what about as a child? I'm just trying to, before we get to the top of the
as a child, I think I drew from age 2. I mean, my mom handed me something in church and said, "Here, draw." And then she saw that I just got lost in it. Thought, uh-oh, I've got something here.
Right. So it was nurtured from a very young age. And so did you kind of hide behind that identity in high school? or did you hide behind the art and the imaginary life and the...
Actually, I've always been sort of an extrovert. I'm more of a personality girl, but I do, it's not, I don't think it's hiding, it's investigating more.
Okay, yeah, I love your spirit. I love your outlook. It's inspiring. So just bring me, to go to the top of the hour, bring me just from age 13 until you left school. And did you go to college? When I love that thing I heard, that you couldn't afford college, but you snuck into the classes you wanted to sit. That's so cool. So cool.
But the professors really loved it. I mean, they didn't care. They just said, "Oh yeah, come on in, Colleen." And so it was really nice. I got to sit in on this one was a music appreciation class, and my boyfriend was taking the class, and he asked me to sit in with them, and because he said, "You just love all the stories that go through this music. She explains all of the music in a story fashion." And I thought, whoa. So I went in there, and she explained the Moldau. Okay. You ever heard that, Deirdre Smetana?
She explained what she did. Say that again?
It's a symphony written by Deirdre Smetana, and it's called the Moldau, or Die Moldau, or something like that maybe. But it's about two rivers that come together, I think in Czechoslovakia. I may have that wrong. But they come together. One's a cold one, one's a hot one, and they come together as one. So I made this sculpture. I listened to music, and the music just sent me everywhere. And then, and she explained the story of how the river goes down this hill, and it goes into this marriage ceremony, and you can hear all the flutes and horns, and then all of a sudden it goes into a background, and you can hear the boom going off, and she just explained the story behind the music, and I just thought, which I want to write a symphony someday. I'm going to do it for sure. I really have that in me. I know. Like, once you open up your soul and you take off the roof that they put over your head, that's like, oh, you can only do this much. Bull crap. You can do anything.
I had a school teacher that did that in what we call primary school. We were like 9, and he used to play classical music and then ask us to close our eyes and then encourage us to do creative writing, to literally be moved by the music and then write whatever came to us. And it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. And it was my first introduction to creative writing, so with hindsight, it's no surprise there. But he went on to try and enter the priesthood, and apparently he was rejected because he would not surrender his collection of classical music.
I love him.
Camp was his name, and I think it was Mr. Camp.
Beautiful.
But the classical music, that he was supposed to take a vow of poverty because he was going to go into the Catholic Church. And even though he loved God, he loved teaching, he would have been an amazing, Christian brother or whatever. But no, he got rejected because he wouldn't give up his music.
That's amazing.
So he had a lucky escape, really, didn't he?
He did, yeah, because you get caught up in and you know what I'm talking about, you get caught up in the rat race, which is what I did.
Imagine having someone encourage you to do that so young, and then in our next year, he got us to perform. We memorized all the lines. We were 10 and 11, and we performed a whole Shakespeare play. Whatever his way of teaching, it was so inspired that these 10 and 11-year-olds were able to do A Midsummer Night's Dream, word perfect, with absolute passion, because of the way he taught. He was absolutely gifted. So that's it. Education is...
What a pleasure to know a man like that. That is just fantastic. That's I just watched the people who are working on the film, the sensitive film, they're making another film about sensitive children.
Okay.
Which is going to be amazing, because that, what the sensitive thing is, that empathy thing, we all know what it really is. It's that second sight that we have.
Okay. I wonder if I saw, was the movie anything... I got sent a short film that I think it won some awards. They were crowdfunding, and it was about dementia. It's about an elderly couple. That's nothing to do with them, is it?
No, this one's called Sensitive, the movie. If you look
Okay.
it up online, I think it's sensitivethemovie.com.
Okay, I'm going to look that up. And just, I know you didn't mean to push it at all, but just tell me the name of your book and if it's available anywhere.
Oh, sure, it's available anywhere you can get it. I mean, anywhere it's out in. You can order it from Barnes and Nobles, but I don't think that it's big enough to be on the shelf or anything.
Okay, and what's it called?
Oh, it's called Behind the Black.
Behind the Black.
Yeah.
By Colleen Black.